Woo. Gonna start this video with a good onion cry. Hello, beautiful. Did you have a good nap? This is heavy. Please.
You want me to do?
Can you put this in the oven, please? Yeah, sure. And then. Hello, friends. Today we are in the kitchen and we are going to be making 28 freezer meals. Now, this project actually is about a 3-day project. Let me walk you through the steps. Day 1, I go through and I print off all of my recipes. Now, these recipes come from myfamilydinner.com. I do have a code if you ever want to buy any of our meal plans. They are super helpful. They come with shopping lists and then the recipes and then papers to put on all of your bags. So it is a great process. Highly, highly recommend it if you want to take some of the thinking out of making freezer meals. This has been a good solution for me. So this is my 3rd time making freezer meals using her recipes. Now this time I was a little bit smarter. Now it's the 3rd time I've done it. I went through the recipes and discarded some of the recipes that I was not interested in. So each recipe that we are making 2 times. So for 28 meals, we're really making 14 different meals. And a lot of the ingredients are used across multiple meals. So it's a great way to batch cook. So I have a meal plan here. It has 12 meals listed, which is really 6 meals twice. I went through it and I realized I was not interested in some of the meals. Barbecue chickpea sloppy joes, I decided to go back to another recipe she had and I swapped that out for the original sloppy joes. And then she had a split pea soup. Not really interested in that, so I swapped that out for the Italian wedding soup from a separate meal plan that we really, really liked. So I went through and handpicked some of the recipes that I really liked from previous ones to replace these recipes. I also added in 2 more recipes that were family favorites. The meatballs, the recipe is fantastic. I have actually made it just on a weeknight, not as a freezer meal because we liked it so much. We like to have it as meatball subs or spaghetti and meatballs. And I also brought back in a spicy tortilla soup. So instead of the 24 meals, that ups it to 28 meals. So we got a lot of work ahead of us. Like I said, this is a 3-day project. The first day I pick out the meals that I'm gonna make and make my shopping list. Yesterday I went shopping at Costco. You may have seen that video and got the bulk of the groceries. And then in the evening, I went through my list again and figured out what pizzas we still needed and what things we had in the cabinets. And I placed a Fred Meyer grocery pickup order, went this morning, picked up the rest of the groceries. Now we're here, day 3, ready to start making our freezer meals. One thing that I upgraded for this round of freezer meal making is there are labels that you print out for each of the meals, 2 per sheet because you're doubling the recipe. So this one's for apple barbecue pulled chicken and it has it twice. And then you stick that onto the freezer bag when you are making the freezer meal. It gives you instructions, it tells you how to cook it. I've always cut these in half and then taped them onto the bag. So this time I went and bought some full sheet 8.5 by 11 shipping labels. Then I printed 2 pages per sheet. So I got 4 labels per sheet. They now look like this. So we can just peel the backs off and stick these on the bag, and I think it'll go much faster and stay on there nicer in the freezer. So I'm hoping that this is a good upgrade. These are Office Depot labels, but they said that they compare to the Avery 8465, which I'm sure you can order on Amazon. I just happened to be at Office Depot and grabbed these, and I think that's a big improvement in just making this go faster. Now, I've already been working for about an hour this morning. I have found that it's easier if you get most, if not all of your ingredients out before you start your process. That way you don't have to stop and go find things in the refrigerator. I got out all the spices, I got out all the ingredients. Some of them are laid on the recipes, others are just on the counter because I know I will use them in multiple recipes, but I find that that makes the process much quicker and smoother as I get going in the kitchen. So we're gonna make probably 4 at a time, maybe 6. First thing I'm gonna do though is I'm going to put an expiration date on each of these. You have 3 months to use it from the time that you're making it, so that you wanna label your bag so you kind of have a good time frame to use them. One thing that I'm doing differently this time is I am adding moose meat that we already have in the freezer instead of buying beef. So I am writing some little notes like I need to add a 3-pound roast. I'm just gonna have everything else in this, and then on the day that I make it, I'm just gonna add a roast into the crock pot. Most of these are crock pot meals. I do have a few that go in the oven, and there are 4 recipes that need things cooked today. A few of the recipes need things added on the day that you make them. So for example, this chicken noodle soup, on the day that you make it, you add in 12 cups of broth. You don't want to add that right now and freeze it. And you also add in the pasta right at the end, the last hour that it cooks. So I like to make myself a little note. It is in the instructions, but sometimes I miss it. So those are a few things that I've learned along the way. Make some notes for yourself. Make it as easy as possible for somebody in your family or yourself to put this meal in for the day. When I made these sloppy joes in the past, I added the ground beef right into the bag, but because I already have frozen ground beef, I'm just put myself a note to add 2 pounds of ground moose meat the day that I make it, and then I will know exactly what I need. In the past, I have bought pre-cut frozen onions. I figure it's not that hard to chop up some onions. It does make the process go much faster, but I'm gonna chop up a bunch of onions before we get started so that any recipe that calls for them, I can just put a scoop in. My shopping list called for 6 bags of frozen diced onions. Each of those bags are 12 ounces. So 12 ounces I looked up is 2 cups. So we need 12 cups of chopped onions. So we'll kind of keep track of that. Okay, my thing is full after 2 onions. Woo. Gonna start this video with a good onion cry. So the meal plan that I purchased from myfamilydinner.com was the year-long meal plan. So this is the 3rd month plan that I am doing. She does have just like by the month kind of things. At least right now on the website, you can buy like a January meal plan or a February meal plan. She also has some whole food meal plans and different options. So if this is something you're interested in doing, she does have a lot of good recipes straight on her website. If you just want to make 1 or 2 freezer meals, oh my goodness, my eyes are starting to really water. I just found that it was easier to get a whole plan because she gives you the shopping list. And like I said earlier, a lot of the ingredients overlap. So we bought like a whole bag of peppers at Costco, and we'll use pretty much all of these in our recipes. So just kind of is a good use of your time and your resources. Now these meals tend to feed our family of 7. Violet is just now coming into the picture, but just enough. We don't usually have many leftovers with these meals. Some meals you do have to add rice, and I might cook like a little extra rice. I did find like when my parents were here visiting, like we would barely have enough for everybody. So I would say that they feed 4 to 6 people, but not with a lot of extra or leftovers. So just keep that in mind. I did go on the heavier side with the meat this time that I bought, like the chicken that I bought. I went on the higher end of her suggestions just because I knew from experience that my family wanted a little bit more. But also keep in mind, every meal doesn't have to be everybody's favorite meal. There's gonna be some different things than I usually cook. I still cook dinner multiple times a week, but I like to use these on nights where I know things are gonna be extra crazy and I don't have a lot of time to put together a meal. These can be very helpful. People often find that they save a lot of money by meal prepping like this as well because you're not running to the store all the time. You just have, that one got me. Just have your meals prepped and ready to go. We just use them as backup meals. I also have a friend that is having surgery, and so I handpicked a couple meals that I think her family will like. I'm gonna take her a hot dinner, but then I can give her a couple freezer meals too that she can just put in her crock pot after surgery. So instructions come on the bag. They can be a great thing to gift to a friend. And if you don't have one of these, I highly recommend it. Now I will say, if you use it a lot, they don't last forever. Something tends to break on them after a year or 2, depending on how often you use it. But to me, for the like 15, 20 bucks that they are, I am probably on my 3rd one over the last 6 years. But to me, they're worth it because they just make chopping so easy. Whoop. Well, that is a big bowl of onions. but I'll be happy that I did that at first. I wonder if I need to do that to the peppers as well, but I can't remember how I'm actually using the peppers, so we'll just wait. I think it's officially time to get started. I asked for this apron for Christmas. It's from Hedley and Bennett. Yes, I have a son named Bennett. I love that. It's kind of a nicer quality apron. One thing I love about it, it has a holder right here for a towel. It's like a game changer. I also love that it has big pockets. Anyways, I'm glad I finally upgraded because it's so good. Let's get going. I'm starting with 3 separate chicken recipes, which will give us 6 meals. We're going for chicken fajitas, chicken enchiladas, and apple barbecue pulled chicken. That way we can do the chicken all at the same time. I do have these little holders that hold up, whoops, pulled a little too hard, that hold up your bag and hold them open while you put in the ingredients. Super helpful. Grabbed them off of Amazon. There we go. And I do have to say these labels were much easier than having to tape all of those on. I like the smaller size of the label too. So even if I didn't have the stickers, I would print the labels 2 to a page in the future just to make it easier on myself. I like the size better. Now I do have to say, this chicken enchilada recipe is interesting. You just kind of put them on tortillas. I've always had enchiladas cooked in a pan, so that will be a different, it's more like a chicken enchilada taco, I think. It says, serve over tortillas and top with cheese after you shred the chicken. So for each of these recipes, I am just going to put all the canned things in, and then at the end, I will add the chicken all at once to all 3 recipes. And after I am done with the recipes, I put them into a binder, and I keep notes on which ones our family liked better than others. That way I can just make my own freezer meal lists in the future of which ones are our favorites. But I do have to tell you, this helps me get out of the rut of like, what to cook for dinner, because it introduces new things. We do not eat a lot of chicken in our family, so it's nice to have a little change up from fish and moose meat. I'm gonna open up all the cans for this first recipe. We're working on the chicken enchiladas. Some of the things that I ordered, I got this one, which is a 7-ounce can, and it called for 4 ounces per recipe, so I'm just gonna be putting half in each. That way it was cheaper to buy the bigger can and just use it for both recipes. I did the same with the enchilada sauce. It said to buy a 10 ounce and I got a 19 ounce. So it can just be split between the 2. Now this recipe, when you serve it, calls for tortillas and shredded cheddar cheese. I bought the shredded cheddar cheese. It might be helpful to put it in a bag next to it, just so you don't use those things up and not have them on hand. But you do whatever works for you for that. So we're going for 1 can black beans. It says to rinse and drain, but I like the juice from black beans, so I'm not gonna do that. That's just my personal preference. Already messing up on number 1. Switched bags. I'm just gonna add this to this bag over here. I was gonna swap the stickers, but they stuck a little too well. Okay, not a big deal. So it says 14 ounces of chicken broth, which is just a little bit under 2 cups. Honestly, one of these has 32 ounces in it, so I'm just gonna do half and half. So when we cook up these enchiladas, we'll just shred the chicken in the crock pot after it's cooked and add the black beans if you followed the directions. All right, we're done with that one. Let's move on. Now we're making chicken fajitas, which I think I did buy a bag of frozen peppers and onions because it had it on the list, and I just thought that was a good idea because it had some whole peppers and then the peppers and onions. So let me grab those and we'll get started on this one. Grab these at Kroger or Fred Meyer here in Alaska. Really does make it nice and easy. It says we need half of a bag in each one. Ooh, that one looks funny. So let's make sure I'm putting them in the right bags. 1/2 of a can of diced tomatoes, do not drain. I like to use my chopper for jalapenos too. There we go. Next up is lime zest. I'm gonna do it straight into the bag. Okay, all we need to do is add the chicken. Third is apple barbecue pulled chicken, and this is gonna go on a bun. So we need barbecue sauce, apple, garlic powder, onion powder. We got this. All right, I hope I have enough barbecue sauce. So I need to chop up 4 apples maybe. I'm just gonna go with 3 because these are kind of bigger apples. I like to use this little apple cutter, and then I'll finish by dicing it. Next up for the apple barbecue pulled chicken is 1 cup of barbecue sauce. Now I tend to be kind of a messy cook, so one of the benefits of making meals like this is I make a mess once and then clean it all up and make less of a mess on the weekdays when I'm making these meals. Honestly think I'm gonna use all of this, but I should maybe just put it right into the bag, but it's good to get a rough estimate of how much you're putting in. I'm gonna add some water to this at the end and just make sure I use every last bit of it for these recipes. Does anybody else get satisfaction from like, hey, I used that up, I finished it. I love that feeling. Like, hey, that didn't go to waste. Or like using up the end of your chapstick. Like, I used a whole tube of chapstick before I lost it. That feels amazing. So we are gonna make sure we use every last bit of this barbecue sauce. Garlic powder, onion powder, and I will link all these recipes in the description below. You can go print off the ones you want or buy the meal plan. But if you buy the meal plan, make sure you use Lauren20 to get 20% off. Save yourself some money. Oh, I messed up on this one. We need to add a bunch more taco seasoning. It has a homemade taco seasoning. Chili powder, cumin, paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, and dried oregano. I somehow just stopped when I added the salt and pepper. So we need some chili powder, cumin, paprika. Make sure I'm adding them to the right bag. One of these is gonna make me sneeze. Excuse me. Got some spices, made me sneeze. All right, garlic powder, onion powder, and oregano. Onion powder. Oregano seems like an odd man out. More of an Italian spice, but really more flavor the better. Getting out my scale for the chicken. So I'm just gonna put my bag on the scale. And I'm gonna tear it out so it's back down to 0 and then add chicken in. I find these bags of chicken can get a little bit messy, so I'm gonna do them in a bowl. Now I'm using boneless, skinless chicken thighs from Costco. Actually, I could probably just weigh these per bag and know how much I'm putting in. Okay, we're just gonna go back to 0. This is 1 pound, 10 ounces. And this is 2 pounds, 12 ounces. So I'm just gonna add all 3 of these bags and that should get us our chicken. Sealing that up right away. It is extra extra full. Chicken enchiladas. Okay, I've got it cleaned up. That was a big mess. Hopefully we'll find our flow and the next 6 will go a little bit easier. 6 down, what, 22 more to go. I am gonna go put these first 6 into the freezer before I move on so that they can start getting frozen. I don't want them sitting out all day. This is heavy. Okay, I ran out of my freezer bags. So we're gonna try out these Kirkland freezer gallon plus bags. I've really liked the quart size ones of these. So they're cheaper than the Ziploc brand, but they seem to be good. Where I wanted to put them to the test was up here because I'm like, that has to be good. Now they are a different shape than the Ziploc. They're like more wide and flat. They do say that they stand up on their own. I don't know, I feel like that's kind of a tricky thing to get a bag to do on its own. But I'm gonna give these a try for these ones. Comparison between the 2 bags. You can definitely see a size difference, but I feel like they hold more, the Kirkland brand. And I also got out this so I can save my recipes from getting covered. This will protect them, and I'm just gonna do them one at a time. I usually use this for my cookbooks so that you protect the pages, but we're gonna use that. We're working smarter, not harder. This round we are doing 3 beef recipes. Because we're using moose meat, we will be adding the meat later, which will make them very easy. Mexican shredded beef, French dip with au jus, and sloppy joes. We're starting the Mexican shredded beef with 1/2 cup of diced onions. I actually made a variation of this recipe for dinner last night and the family loved it. So that was good. 1 cup of salsa. Salt, cumin, garlic powder, next up, we're gonna do the French dip with au jus. Make sure we have the right bags. Add all ingredients. Sometimes you leave out the chicken broth, so I like to read whether or not. You know, sometimes I don't read and I mess up, but it always ends up okay. So we are going to be putting in a bunch of spices and then some chicken broth pretty much, and then you will add a roast. I just don't think it would be necessary to unwrap a roast and stick it in here. I just make sure I put a roast next to it. I have to tell you that one time I made these and it was like a garlic butter roast or garlic butter steak, and I put in like double the butter I was supposed to because I was filming and kids were running around. I don't know why, I messed up. It was bad, it tasted so awful. So when I made the second bag, I like pulled the butter out before I cooked it because I realized my mistake. It's not always a win. Parsley, dried parsley. Dried dill. I love the smell of dill. And onion powder. We already put onion powder. No, we did garlic powder. This time it's onion powder. Salt, pepper, and 2 cups of chicken broth. The bag seems so empty without adding the roast, but that's all right. Probably could have just used a quart size bag in this case. Maybe I need to remember that in the future if I'm not adding all the meat to it. A smaller bag would do for that. Next one is sloppy joes. 1 cup of onion, diced. Now here is where I did use the pre-bought stuff again. These shredded carrots are so nice to work with. I also love having them on hand to just throw into salads because they're like the perfect shred. Let's see, I need 1/2 cup of shredded carrots. I'm just gonna put a little. Then we need a pepper. 1 pepper diced for each of them. So, it says a green pepper, but Costco doesn't carry green peppers sometimes, so I'm just gonna do a mixture of red and yellow. Starts with tomato paste. Then we need some honey. It says 2 tablespoons. We're doubling this, so we really needed 4. Then we need chili powder, garlic powder. I did buy an extra garlic powder because it said in the supply list, it said like 18 tablespoons or something. And I was like, I may run out of that. Now we need cinnamon, just a little bit, 1/4 teaspoon. So we need 1/2 teaspoon for doubling it. Dijon mustard. And salt. This will be served on buns. I feel like this sauce needs a little bit of something. It's not blending very well. I wonder if the first time I made this, I think I didn't even blend it because I don't remember doing this. It's too thick. Let's see. Need chicken broth. Yeah. I don't feel like the blending did a whole lot, so I might skip that step. I would leave myself a little note on that one. All right, we got 12 meals done. I would not blend that. I feel like the blending did absolutely nothing. To this, you would be adding 2 pounds of ground beef. Again, I will be adding my moose meat when I make it to that. Ooh, I made a mess on that one, didn't I? All right, 6 more done. So we're at 12. I hear Violet. We're gonna make her bottle and then we'll keep going. Hello, beautiful. Did you have a good nap? The next 2 recipes are actually, vegetarian. They do not have any meat in them. I feel like she includes at least 1 recipe per meal plan that has no meat in it. Some of them you might want to skip if that's not your thing. I thought these ones sounded interesting and would change things up a bit. So we have a lentil curry soup that we're gonna make and a chickpea potato green curry served over rice for the curry. Not something that I've ever made for my family, so I'm excited to try it. Okay, 1 can of chickpeas drained. I don't know if it's actually necessary to drain them. I've seen that you can make really cool things with the, what do they call that, like aquafaba or something like that? I'm sure I said that wrong, but you can make cool things with that chickpea juice. I did not look at the amount of these potatoes when I ordered them online, so I need the whole thing for 1 bag. I have some other potatoes I'm gonna use. Some people have voiced concern about freezing potatoes, and I have found that if you don't peel them or cut them, they do just fine. So we will rinse them, but we do not need to worry about freezing them because they do just fine. when they're cooked. Okay, I'm gonna rinse these ones, wash them off. Look at me using my new Costco strainers. Next, we're gonna put in 1 red bell pepper diced, and then 1 cup of our shredded carrots. Again, I'm just gonna do a mixture of red and orange. Words are hard sometimes, and put these in. Next up, we're gonna make the sauce, but I wanna make sure that it gets the right amount in each one, so I'm gonna make it separately. This recipe does not call for onions. I have so many onions still. I am going to put some in there because it seems like a recipe that could benefit from a little bit of onions. We've got our sizzle olive oil from Graza. I'm just gonna go 1, 2. Then we've got garlic powder, ginger. I'm gonna leave these all over here actually, because we're gonna use them all again in just a second. And if I put them back, then I have to find them again. Okay, so it says 2 tablespoons. We'll take a little bit more. And then soy sauce. Okay. Just using a whisk this time. Smells good. A lot of sauce, that's good. Now we're gonna make 1 more round of the sauce, and this freezer meal will be done. Okay, sauce for bag number 2. Like I said, I'm gonna add a little bit of onions just because we've got them, and I don't think it can make it any worse. I'm actually really excited to try this one. Again, served over 2 cups of white rice. Next one is lentil curry soup. Add all ingredients except for spinach, broth, and coconut milk. Okay, this one doesn't say to drain these either, probably because it's a soup. It's like the never-ending can of garbanzo beans. They just kept coming. Next we add the green lentils. Ooh, 1 bag was perfect. Now this might be one of the recipes that in the future I say, wasn't for us, and it may become one of our new favorites. You just never know. I did take out a few that I knew my family wouldn't really go for, but that's okay. 2 cups shredded carrots, diced bell pepper. Now we've got 2 cups spinach, 4 cups chicken broth, and the coconut milk, but we're gonna leave those out. 1 cup onions. And now we just need to add a bunch of different spices. Garlic powder, ginger, celery seed, salt, more black pepper to the rescue. Right, we're refilled. We're gonna refill the one in here too, just so that we don't forget. Cumin, and then, is it garam masala? How do you say that? I don't know. Cumin. Getting low on cumin too, I think, yep. I knew I was getting low. It's good, I'm glad I went through all my spices yesterday and checked. Pepper was not on my list though. I just thought, oh, I have pepper. Thankfully I did. And then we're gonna go with, I did get this from the store because I did not have any of this. That was good. 2 tablespoons. I'm gonna add myself a note on here. It does say on it that you need coconut, add a 14-ounce can of coconut milk and 4 cups broth. But I'm just gonna like give myself an extra like, remember, coconut milk plus broth. All right, I think we're a little over halfway done. Feels a little, we should be further along, but it is what it is. It's always a long day when you do freezer meals. Okay, it is time to do another cleanup. Take these out to the freezer and then we will start the next round. Okay, I was gonna start cleaning up and then I realized I forgot to add the fresh basil to the chickpea potato green curry. So we're gonna add that real quick before we move on. Bowl of trash number 2. Round 2 of freezer meals going to the freezer. We are down to 6 recipes left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Some of them go in tins, so I'm gonna get that ready. And these are unfortunately some of the more labor-intensive ones, but because I forgot to get my meat out to thaw last night, we gotta save them till the end. But we are also gonna make dinner while we're at it. It's also time for my kids to get home from school, so it might get a little loud around here. Hopefully we can keep moving through. Hello, Miss Luna. How are you? Are you doing all right? It's good to see you. Okay, here's our game plan. I'm going to do the chicken noodle soup and the spicy tortilla soup. This spicy tortilla soup is from a previous video and we really, really liked it, but it seemed a little bit too simple to us, so I am going to add shredded chicken to it. Here's all my meat defrosting so that we can make those other recipes. I'm gonna get some water boiling for the pasta dishes. We're gonna do the spicy tortilla soup. This one's kind of just a dump and go soup. I'm gonna move these out of the way so I don't accidentally put it in the wrong bag. Can of beans, diced tomatoes, the chicken broth you add later. So we're gonna go past that. Tomato paste, 1 cup of onion, and I'm gonna split this can of diced green chilies between the 2. Garlic powder. When you cook it, you add the broth, and then I'm going to put some shredded chicken to just add in afterwards from a Costco chicken that I shredded yesterday. I plan on gifting this to a friend that her kids don't eat meat, so she can add meat into hers and her husband's, and then you know, they can just change it up however they want. So I thought this would be a good one to do again, but with some shredded chicken as an option. I have these 2 rotisserie chicken containers. I'm just gonna put these with the spicy tortilla soup. And because it's already cooked, it's just a add after it cooks kind of thing. But these will be perfect. Add to spicy tortilla soup after cooking. I could have put these in bags as well, but I figured I had already had them in these containers, so these are perfect for the freezer too. It'll work. We're on the home stretch. Timer's going off. Our pasta should be, oop, let's stop it. Should be al dente. And we can get it out to cool. Chicken noodle soup starts with 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I really love the squeeze bottle. Onion. And then the shredded carrots. The noodles are actually for our Alfredo bake, so not the chicken noodle soup. You add the noodles later in the chicken noodle soup. So we're gonna go back to the chicken noodle soup and then we'll tackle the Alfredo bake afterwards now that the noodles are done and cooling. Okay, now we need to add some spices and things into our things. We need a bay leaf. Hi, baby girl. Yeah. Then we need some garlic powder. Parsley, salt and pepper. Did we get everything? Except for the chicken. We gotta do the chicken again. I think we got everything. Sealing up these 2 bags. We got 2 more done. We gotta make 1 more set of noodles, so I'm gonna start some more water. Pasta round 2. Okay, what we're working on now is the chicken Alfredo bake. This is 2 things of pasta cooked to al dente. We're gonna add all the other ingredients. I've got my sous chef here, Violet. She's wanting to be fed lots of little things. And then we're gonna mix it all up. You don't want any more? Alfredo sauce, 1 jar per thing. And then you add water to this and, you know, rinse it out and add that in as well. Seems like a lot of liquid, but that's what it says. Alfredo sauce, and then fill the can, in this case it's a jar, with water and add. Pretty soupy. Maybe it just makes it so that everything doesn't dry out when it cooks. It says to mix with everything except for Parmesan cheese and parsley. That's one hard thing about, I bought this fresh parsley. I think I could probably freeze it, but if you don't do this recipe right away, it can be a little bit tricky to keep those fresh items on hand. Garlic powder, 1 teaspoon salt, pepper, Parmesan cheese and mozzarella. 2 cups mozzarella cheese. I shredded up this Costco chicken when I got home yesterday, so I'm just gonna chop it a little bit finer and then add it into the Alfredo bake. I could just throw one of these in the oven for dinner, but I think I have another plan. This piece of Parmesan looks like a potato chip. It all stayed together.
Can I have it?
Yeah.
What the heck?
Okay, final step is 1 cup of Parmesan on the top. In the past I had to use tinfoil, but I found these little lids at the Costco Business Center, so I think we're done with that one. These would be awesome for just taking to somebody as a meal because they could just plop them in the oven and or cook it and take it to someone. Okay. I feel like we're doing good. 3 left. That means we've made 25? Maybe no. 3 left times 2, so that's 6. 22. We've done 22. Pasta number 2 for the ziti bake is penne pasta. Setting a timer or I'll forget about them. Violet likes the cheese. Yummy, huh? All right, just finished up some playtime with the baby. I'm sure she'll need me again, but we are gonna make the Italian wedding soup and we've gotta make some little mini meatballs. I actually did this wrong last time. I totally didn't do the meatballs, but I think it'll be better if we do the meatballs. I do have some extra Italian sausage, so I'm gonna be making extra meatballs, and this is what we're gonna have for dinner tonight. So I think we should be able to make 2 batches of the soup for the freezer meals, but I think we should also be able to make dinner for tonight. So it says that it should make 30 to 40 little meatballs per 1 pound. I'm just gonna roll them up, get them on a tray, and then we can get them in the oven to kind of par cook so that they stay nice and circular, and then you can put them into the soup. Hi, sweetheart. I gotta roll up these. Always gets a bit more stressful once everybody's home from school, but that's why I'm making these meals, so that I can have some easy dinners and not have to worry so much about dinner time. I think I want to go for smaller meatballs because in a soup, I don't think you want a big giant meatball. So they started to get a little bigger, but I'm gonna go for smaller, I think. I am going to reserve a little bit of this Italian sausage for our other meatballs and add it to the moose meat just to add a little bit of fat to them. But this makes a lot of little mini meatballs. All right, these meatballs are going into the oven for 4 or 5 minutes at 400 degrees just to kind of cook them halfway. I took these gloves off and I'm trying to reuse them again because I had to go take care of Violet. And they're so hard to get on the second time. They're just like sticking to my hands. All right, baby Violet went down for an evening nap. So let's finish up these recipes. I got 1 tray coming out, 2 trays going in. Let's make the last 6 meals and make dinner for tonight. We can do this. So we are gonna work on the Italian wedding soup, and that's also what we're making for dinner. So this recipe calls for 6 cups of chicken broth. I actually made chicken broth yesterday from the Costco chickens, so I'm gonna use that for the dinner tonight. When you make the freezer meal, you don't add the chicken broth until later, so it'll be a perfect use of this fresh chicken stock. We'll be making that in a few minutes, but we're gonna chop up some celery, and we've got our onions, and I am going to do a little browning in the pot of the celery and onions and carrots, just because I think that makes it taste better, and then we'll make our soup. Celery and carrots. In case I wasn't clear, I'm making the same thing here that I'm making on the stove, Italian wedding soup. So we need carrots, celery. We're gonna use the last of our onions, which I think we pretty much made the perfect amount. Supposed to do 3/4 of a cup each. I'd say that's about 3/4 of a cup. Salt, a bay leaf. Whoa, that is a huge bay leaf. Our meatballs are done for the freezer meals. They look and smell delicious. This is more chicken broth. Adding bay leaf. Okay, I already added my salt to the dinner, but as I add the spices into the bags, I'm gonna make a little bowl and then go add it over there too. Garlic powder. And that's it. We're gonna add some acini di pepe. I'm not sure I'm saying that right. It's a little tiny pasta when it starts to boil, and then some spinach. So that is it. Pretty simple. When the meatballs have cooled off, we will add them to the bags. Okay, we're just gonna let this simmer for a little while, and then we'll add the meatballs in. Okay, this has taken me all day, and thankfully this meat is now thawed enough that we can use it. I have a couple things here. I have moose burger. I have 3 of those. And then I do have some Italian sausage. I don't think we add any fat to that. It just has spices to it. So we can add that. I'm gonna combine it with some of this. We're gonna cook some up and we're gonna make meatballs for meatball subs, or you can have it for spaghetti and meatballs. We have really enjoyed this recipe of meatballs, so I put it back on rotation. My mom is like, those are the best meatballs I've ever eaten. So she makes these meatballs now too. They have apples in them, which can sometimes be like, why would you put apples in them? But they are moist and good. We're not even big meatball eaters around here, but these we really like. The other one we gotta finish is the ziti bake, which we gotta cook up some of this meat for that. Oh, we're a little bit short on I need to chop up 1 more onion. I forgot we do need onions for the meatballs. We were so close. All right. Ooh, the onion got me again. To our onion, I'm gonna add some Italian sausage. Some Italian mousse. And then I'm also gonna add regular mousse. It's gonna be a combo. These meatballs also have to get pre-baked before you can freeze them. So I'm making these and then we will brown our meat for the last meal, the ziti bake. To the meat, I have added the onion. I'm gonna chop up the apple. I like to make it pretty fine, pretty small. Probably could use the chopper actually. Maybe I should try. Get it all really little. To the meatball mixture, we're going to add the spices now. And we're going to start with garlic powder, salt and pepper. And I think that's it. Oh, we need some Italian seasoning and egg. Okay, I think we have all of our ingredients. I'm gonna get some gloves on and then we're gonna make the meatballs. Okay, these meatballs are going into our soup because I want to reuse this tray for our other meatballs. And then the other meatballs I put like that. They're just about ready to go into their bags. Time to mix this all up. So these meatballs we're making bigger than the ones for the soup because we want to have these on sandwiches or with pasta. So they are a little bit bigger.
Could we have meatball subs?
That's what I plan on doing with them. Yes, meatball subs. Can you swap this out? Put this in the oven, please.
What do you want me to do?
And can you put this in the oven, please?
Yeah, sure.
And then
And I'll go
give
get
me
my
that tray, please.
See what this inside the oven.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you wrapping for us out?
Yes, he's wearing the sauna hat. Thank you. Just right here.
Just your normal helpful Viking.
All right, here's our second tray of meatballs for the oven. Okay, while those meatballs cook for the last meal, which is the ziti bake, I'm gonna add this moose meat to just a little bit of the mousse Italian and some regular Italian, and then we're gonna cook it up on the stove to add to the pasta.
Somebody's not sure what to think when a Viking gets them up from their nap.
Yeah. This thing on Mark's head is a sauna cap, but it sure looks strange when you don't know what it is.
Awesome.
Don't really need to mix this up, but I just kind of wanted to mix the sausage into the moose meat just so it adds some flavor all the way throughout. This recipe actually just calls for ground beef. We've got this great looking meat. We're gonna brown it on the stove. If you saw the video where I bought this giant pan at Costco, it has been my absolute favorite. I love the size of it. They're partially done. The rest of them are in here, already done.
What are these? This one? Is that dinner?
This is dinner.
Can I have a meatball?
Not yet, in a few minutes. While this heats up, I am gonna put the meatballs into the bags.
Only 5%.
These ones are done.
Yeah.
So this is the pasta that you add to the soup. Kind of looks like couscous. This calls for 1/4 cup. There we go. Just have a little bit left in the bag. I'm just gonna add it because nobody's gonna care if there's a little extra pasta. And then this box will be for the freezer meals. These are looking really good.
With violet.
These look awesome. Made the pasta a little bit too early. All right, we're down to the final stretch. I'm just gonna add some spices that we need for the ziti bake. Garlic powder. Gotta find my bigger one, there we go. Onion powder. Okay, that's what we're gonna add to the meat along with our jars of marinara sauce. While our meat mixture finishes up, we are going to crack eggs, and then we are going to be adding cheese to those eggs to then add to the pasta bake. I gotta get these in the freezer before all the noodles disappear. My kids are hungry. In a bowl, whisk together eggs and cheese. So we need Parmesan cheese and cheddar cheese is what's going into this. To our soup, we're adding a bunch of spinach to finish it off. And to our meat, we're adding the spices and the marinara sauce. Q-U-E-S. T-I-O-N. Q-U-E-S.
Q-U-E-S-T-R.
Yep.
What's next?
O-N. Like an exclamatory with an exclamation mark.
Go open! Children went to the event. That's
Add in the cheese, and then we're ready to assemble these pasta bakes. Calls for cheddar cheese. I was thinking it was going to be mozzarella. Not sure how I feel about cheddar cheese. Mix it together. It's going in the pasta. And then some Parmesan.
kind of looks like mac and cheese.
That's true. Mac and cheese is good, and it's cheddar cheese flavored. Second batch of meatballs just came out of the oven to cool. We're gonna add this sauce into these two pans. This is a 1 cup ladle, so that'll kind of help us keep it even. It's not an exact science here. Okay, I'm gonna let these cool for a minute before I add this because I don't want it to like make the egg get cooked right away. Let's do the meatballs. So for the meatball recipe, it says to pour a jar of marinara over the meatballs. I prefer just to add that the day of because I feel like it's kind of hard to get all the marinara out of the bag. I also think that it would probably be good to flash freeze these meatballs. It's not cold enough outside today to flash freeze. It is raining. Weird winter weather here in Alaska this year. Florida has been getting snow, Texas has been getting snow, but we have not got any snow. Okay, so these meatballs are just going into a bag. Pretty simple, straightforward. Luna's staying down, but she's very curious about what's going on over here. Like, Mom, you've been in the kitchen all day long, huh? You wondering where your snack is? Last step, add our cheese and egg mixture. Mix that all in. We're not eating raw egg. This is gonna get baked in the oven. You're not supposed to. All right. These are some hefty pasta bakes. I can hardly believe it. 29 meals done if you count the one I just made for dinner while I was doing this. Not too bad of a mess. For how much cooking I did today, I don't think this will take that long to clean up. Okay, we got salad, bread, and soup for dinner. I don't know if you can go wrong with soup and salad. It's one of my favorite combos. I did add a little bit of cream to the soup because I had some that I'm trying to use up. I think it's gonna be super tasty. We're gonna finish cleaning up after dinner because we're hungry. Man, I wish cleaning up were really that easy. Run out of room on the inside freezers. Our driveway right now, I'm not sure I can show you, but it is, you won't be able to see, but we've got rain on top of ice and it's the slickest I've ever seen our driveway. I just had to go pick up Hunter from school and it was like so scary. So we are going to put the freezer meals in the car and drive them over to our freezer because it's too dangerous to walk them. This feels kind of funny having to drive to the freezer.
It smells good in here. The food. Yeah, that is so slick, huh? This morning it wasn't so bad because it had kind of snowed, like there'd been.
Yeah, it was snowing when I first took the boys to school.
I need to clean this off here for you. All this water on this ice.
Yeah. Mark has to clean my backup camera so I can see where I'm going. It's been so dirty on the road. You see him just slipping around. He can barely walk. Okay, we're gonna unload the freezer meals. Have to do a little rearranging out here. This is our meat freezer. I like to keep the freezer meals inside, but we gotta do some rearranging in there, so we're gonna bring them out here just so that they can get frozen solid before we mess with them. Well, friends, there we have it. 28 freezer meals into the freezer. That was a long day, but it's such a good feeling. Future me will be very happy that I spent the day putting those freezer meals away that we can use whenever we need them. We're so grateful for each and every one of you that spends time with us. We love you, and we'll see you again real soon for more of This Alaska Life. Oh, it's icy and scary out there.